All right, testing, 1, 2, 3. Got my script here. Important to have a script. Nailing down what a video essay actually is surprisingly difficult. YouTube content, and online video in general, is in a constant state of flux, and any definition conceived of now is going to be obsolete in a couple of years. So perhaps the better question is, what is a video essay in 2026? This is also as good a time as any to explain that I'm talking about specifically the YouTube trend of video essay. There exists an older trend of short-form educational documentaries, and that's not really what I'm talking about here. Part of the trap in how we go about drawing a circle around video essays lies in the fact that so much of video essays are nothing new. Since YouTube's inception, YouTubers have mainly seen success doing one of three things: making jokes, playing games, and talking about media. The Spoony One, the Nostalgia Critic, the Angry Video Game Nerd were all doing this back in the day. These videos were often packaged as shows, episodes in a series of light episodes. Even early iterations of modern video essay giants used this format, like Lindsay Ellis' Loose Cannon and Folding Ideas, which was originally conceived of as seasons of a show called Folding Ideas. So what delineates Loose Cannon from Did Yoko Break Up the Beatles? How is Line Goes Up substantively different from Folding Ideas, Fight Club, and Toxic Masculinity? Video essays in their current form are defined by two primary traits. The first is length, a trend that has become so powerful that it has crossed the line into spectacle. H. Bomberguy's 2023 plagiarism video is an illustrative example. At almost 4 hours long, it resists comparison to any other media by length. They don't even make movies this long. This is first folio uncut Hamlet length material. Now, the hundreds of listless, poorly paced video essays on YouTube prove that length doesn't equal success. Nonetheless, the genre has become defined by hour-plus long videos, and many are compelling due to the fact that they don't often feel their length. In this meta, 20-minute videos are the minimum, the starting point of a range that doesn't seem to have a clear endpoint. The issue this creates is not immediately apparent to anyone who hasn't actually sat down and made one of the suckers. In college, I made a video about phonetics for my senior thesis project. The video was essentially just an adaptation of the research paper that I wrote. In all, I ended up with a 27-minute video. Including the research and writing process, I'm estimating that each minute of the video took more or less 4 hours to make. 1 hour for research. Oh, hang on, graphics are really hard. Let me redo that. 1 hour for research, 1 for writing, 1 for asset gathering, including my voiceover, and 1 for editing. So in total, I probably spent almost 110 hours making this video. More than 2 whole American work weeks. Now, this is just an estimate backed up by nothing but my faulty memory. The catch is, I'm not a great researcher. I'm not a super thorough reader, and there's no interstitial document between the books and articles that I use in my final script. In addition, I use simple graphics that mostly revolve around keyframing shapes and opacity levels. That pie chart that just showed up, that took me 3 hours to make. For creators who are actual researchers, do extensive rewriting of their scripts and create complex graphics, each minute of their project could easily balloon into 8 or more hours of work. The trend of YouTubers making longer and longer videos as their upload schedules circle the drain is not a coincidence. I shudder when I think about the cumulative hours of work that went into making Line Goes Up with its numerous animated graphics. So first up, a video essay has got to be long. The second metric of what makes a video essay is more nebulous, but I'll explain it using the example of Summoning Salt. Summoning Salt is a punch-out speedrunner, streamer, and YouTuber. His YouTube content consists of in-depth explorations of speedrunning world records, usually telling the story of the current record as a history dating back to the first recorded speedrun. His videos are incredible. They do that same vanishing trick that my other favorite creators do, where they last an hour or more, but the storytelling is so clean that you are carried along like a buoyant corpse on a lazy river to the video's conclusion.
Let's take a look at the most broken track in the most broken Mario Kart game.
However, I'd hesitate to call these video essays. See, the rub lies in the word essay. The word comes from the French verb essayer, to try or attempt. The other is tenter, so be glad we don't call them video tense. The first essays use this word in a somewhat literal form. The document was an attempt for the writer to structure their thoughts on a page. The through line from that to a modern essay is the concept of a thesis or thesis statement. In case it's been a couple of years since high school, or in case you graduated high school in 2022, a thesis statement is that part at the end of the first paragraph where you justify the existence of your document. This is the part that's really hard for students to grasp because it gets harder as you grow up and learn more about the world. Eventually, it's not merely enough to gather and repeat available information. You have to order that information in such a way as to present an argument. So the second metric of a video essay is that they have to have a point, a connection to some topic or idea that justifies talking about them. This isn't to say that Summoning Salt videos are less valuable. Hell no. These videos still have an argument and a stance because you can't tell a history without making a story. The way that you order facts will inevitably create meaning, whether you intend to or not. Mr. Salt obviously understands this and probably spends hundreds of hours combing through decades-old streams, YouTube comments, and forum posts in order to piece together a linear story that you can digest in an hour. It's incredible. The point that I'm making is that Summoning Salt videos are like Ron Chernow's Hamilton, an incredible biography that does its best to be objective. It simply paints a picture, if a somewhat flattering one, of a person. Video essays have more in common with Guns, Germs, and Steel, or Salt, a world history. History books that aim to argue a specific point, or view a topic through a specific lens. Both of these books have thesis statements that can be summed up in a sentence. Geological factors influence technological advancement, not race. Salt was important. Similarly, video essays can't just be about a thing. They have to be what that thing says about us, or an industry, or our society, something like that. It can also be closer to that second example, taking a look at a thing through a specific lens, like the subversive queer coding in Lego Batman. This is what Lindsay Ellis, who really cracked the formula, does so effectively. See, you think you're watching a video about the Hobbit movies and why they're bad, but actually, surprise, you're watching a video about union busting. You think you're watching a video about Yoko Ono, but surprise, it's actually about the vilification of female celebrities. You think you're watching a video about the death of the author, but actually John Green is here? What the f? Seriously, Lindsay Ellis is so good. Now, there's a criticism I'd like to get ahead of when it comes to the second point, namely that including a requirement that video essays have to connect to some sort of cultural or societal problem actually just describes a very specific type of video essay. BreadTube.
Welcome, my child.
Who are you?
It is I, the president of BreadTube.
What?
Okay, so BreadTube is a label given to a group of YouTubers who make video essays that tie in left-wing themes. The label has been applied to Lindsay Ellis, ContraPoints, H-Bomb, Folding Ideas, and others.
Here's a free subscription to Nebula.
Wait, how did I get on Nebula?
You said the word systemic.
The thing is, BreadTube as a label best applies to a format of video that was popular around the late 2010s, early 2020s, best exemplified by the work of Sean. Sean is a YouTuber who makes videos with strong socialist themes. This soft-spoken Northern English skull often made videos responding to prominent right-wing YouTubers, debunking problematic claims, global warming denialism, and hate speech. The algorithmic genius of these videos was that because they were about similar topics that all these right-wing YouTubers were discussing, they were often recommended to people who were watching those videos, in addition to their usual audience. While Sean is certainly left-leaning, these videos focus on the opposition, debunking claims rather than making them, which lends them a degree of objectivity. H-Bomb also very much did this with his A Measured Response series. These videos are what BreadTube really is, and they stand distinct from both creators' newer content, which are less about responding to specific people and more about prominent societal issues or ongoing genocides. However, to use my academic book analogy, these videos are more like peer reviews, existing mainly to interrogate existing claims. So while BreadTube as a label normally applies to a group of creators, I'd use it more to describe a format of videos instead. And that's just the thing. These are my definitions, my ideas on where we should draw these lines. Let's talk about definitions for a second. Defining trends, genres, or any ephemera carries with it a danger that people recognize intuitively. This can really rub people the wrong way. How dare you say my favorite movie isn't sci-fi? How dare you say Leve isn't jazz? Adam Neely. Yeah, you. I know you're watching this video, Adam. The question that needs to be asked is which definition or which parameters are the most useful. I do not think that defining a group of very different creators as BreadTube is a useful definition. Especially not today, now that the algorithm game that we're all playing back in 2019 has changed so drastically. I'm proposing a definition of video essays along similar terms. That these two metrics contain all, or at least most, of what makes a video feel like a video essay. However, this definition is in no way meant to be exclusionary. Many of my favorite creators exist right on the line. Take Natey JT, who makes very comedy-forward videos about video games and occasionally other topics. I wouldn't call NPCs in video games a video essay, but From Software's game design changed everything? One of his more recent videos, titled Silksong, crossed out Natey JT, is outdated, is an absolute banger. It's about Silksong on the surface, but is interlaced with JT's own anxieties and concerns about his body of work, and the act of making a career out of criticizing other people's work. Are you kidding me? This is incredible! Another of my favorite creators, Jenny Nicholson, also makes videos that really blur the line. Jenny has certainly made bank from the spectacle of length, but her videos don't necessarily have a thesis statement beyond review or travel vlog. Nonetheless, there is something pretty video essay-y about some of these videos. Maybe there's an addendum to the definition where if the topic of your video is a niche enough story, then it counts. We're still definitely in the middle of this trend, but I am interested to see how the genre continues developing. There's a lot of saturation here, but also a lot of experimentation. New voices and ideas pushing the mold, even as people are still attempting to define what it even is. I want to make videos like this, building on what I learned from making that phonetics video and this video, but it's hard to start. Because how do you look at a history like this and go, yeah, I could do that? Especially chilling is that the creators I've described here are working with years and years of experience. Their successes have come slowly and steadily, and their highest production, best written content is the culmination of thousands and thousands of hours of experience. How do you create something on that level? Well, by starting at the beginning.
Hello, I'm Dan Olson, and this is Folding Ideas.
This came about a few months ago when on Twitter one day I decided I was going to write my own.
Okay, thanks very much for watching. This is a new format for me, so I'm not exactly certain what I'm going to be covering.
That's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching.
So, I hope you enjoyed this video, the first of many pieces of spaghetti that I will be throwing at a rapidly oscillating wall. If you want to see more, please give me a metric. A subscribe will do, a like or comment if you're not feeling that. And if you didn't like this video,